The Northern Cyclist Battalion was a bicycle infantry battalion of the Territorial Force, part of the British Army. Formed in 1908, it served in the United Kingdom throughout the First World War, and in 1920 it was converted as part of the Royal Garrison Artillery. History. Formation. The battalion was newly raised at Sunderland in October 1908 as a bicycle infantry battalion of the British Army's Territorial Force, initially designated as the 8th Battalion, Northumberland Fusiliers. In 1910 it was separated from the regiment and redesignated as the independent Northern Cyclist Battalion. In August 1914, the battalion was headquartered at the Drill Hall, Hutton Terrace, Sandyford Road in Newcastle-on-Tyne, and had the following companies: A Company, Sunderland; B Company, Sunderland; C Company, West Hartlepool; D Company, Chester Street; E Company, Newcastle-on-Tyne; F Company, Blythe; G Company, Whitley Bay; H Company, Newcastle-on-Tyne. At the outbreak of the First World War, the battalion was in Northern Command, unattached to any higher formation. It was to be used as mobile infantry, and for work on signals, scouting and similar activities. First World War. In accordance with the Territorial and Reserve Forces Act 1907, which brought the Territorial Force into being, the TF was intended to be a home defense force for service during wartime, and members could not be compelled to serve outside the country. However, on the outbreak of war on the 4th of August 1914, many members volunteered for Imperial service. Therefore, TF units were split in August and September 1914 into first-line and second-line units. Later, third-line units were formed to act as reserves, providing trained replacements for the first and second lines. 1/1 of a Stone Northern Cyclist Battalion. The battalion was mobilized on the 4th of August 1914 at the outbreak of the First World War and moved to its war station at Morpeth. In 1915 it was transferred to the Army Cyclist Corps. By 1916 it had moved to Alnwick, where it remained as part of the Tyne garrison until the end of the war. The battalion was disembodied on the 24th of January 1919. 2/1 of a Stone Northern Cyclist Battalion. The second-line battalion was formed in late 1914 and also remained in England throughout the war. In 1916 it was at Skegness, and in June 1918 it was at Burton Constable as part of the Humber garrison, where it remained. The battalion was disbanded on the 17th of April 1919. On the 4th of July 1915, the battalion provided personnel for the 10th Provisional Cyclist Company at Chapel St Leonard's. 3/1 of a Stone Northern Cyclist Battalion. The Third Line Battalion was formed at Newcastle in 1915 to provide trained replacements for the 1st and 2nd Line Battalions. It was disbanded in March 1916, and the men were posted to 1/1 of a Stone and 2/1 of a Stone battalions and to the Machine Gun Corps. Post-war, the Territorial Force was disbanded after the First World War, although this was a formality, and it was reformed in 1920. For the 1st of October 1921 it was renamed as the Territorial Army. One major change with the new Territorial Army had an effect on the number of infantry battalions. The original 14 divisions were reformed with the pre-war standard of 3 brigades of 4 battalions each, for a total of 168 battalions. Infantry were no longer to be included as army troops or part of the coastal defense forces, so the pre-war total of 208 battalions had to be reduced by 40. This was achieved by either converting certain battalions to other roles, usually artillery or engineers, or by amalgamating pairs of battalions within a regiment, in particular, based on wartime experience. The Army decided to dispense with cyclists units, and the existing battalions were either disbanded or converted to artillery or signals units. The Northern Cyclist Battalion was reformed at Newcastle on the 7th of February 1920, together with the former 3rd Northumbrian Brigade. Royal Field Artillery. It formed a medium artillery brigade of the Royal Garrison Artillery as 3rd Medium Brigade. Royal Garrison Artillery, soon redesignated as 55th Medium Brigade. Royal Garrison Artillery headquarters absorbed HQ and ammunition column of 3rd Northumbrian Brigade, RFA. 217th Medium Battery, 218th Medium Battery, formed from 1st Durham Battery, RFA. 219th Medium Battery, formed from 2nd Durham Battery, RFA. 220th Medium Battery, formed from 1st Durham Battery, RFA. Bibliography. Frederick J. B.M. Lineage Book of British Land Force 1660–1978. Wakefield, Yorkshire. Microform Academic Publishers. ISBN 1-85117-009-X. James Brigadier E.A. British Regiments 1914–18. London, Samson Books Limited. ISBN 0-906304-032. Rinaldi, Richard A. Order of Battle of the British Army 1914. Ravi Rikai. ISBN 9780977607280. Westlake, Ray. The Territorial Battalions, A Pictorial History, 1859–1985. Tunbridge Wells, Spellbound.